This is Rita Dairit and this is Buhay Parang Life, where we discuss issues about this thing called life. Thank you, my dear viewers, for tuning into this episode. I invite you to please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Buhay Parang Life is part of Faith Watch TV, and I ask you to download the Faith Watch app on your mobile device. We read and value your comments, so please feel free to write down your comments and suggestions below. One of the buzzwords in these modern times is influencer. We have the real deal today. She is an international speaker, corporate trainer, author, and content creator. And in 2022 was voted as the #1 most influential woman on LinkedIn. And you will think influential, dapat medyo may edad. But she is young and beautiful and talented. Welcome to Buhay Parang Life, the lovely Doreen Cooper Medina. Magandang buhay, Doreen. Hello.
Hi, Rita. Magandang buhay. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you for giving me time. Ang tagal-tagal na kitang hinahabol. But you know, it is to be influential. Talagang sobrang busy. Doreen, I can imagine my viewers saying right now, ang bata-bata namang influencer nito. And international speaker, corporate trainer, tell us, the path of your career. When did you learn that you were gifted with, with public speaking skills, with the gift of God?
You're very kind. Well, to begin with, I don't think I'm that young anymore, but thankfully, siguro sa camera.
You are young. You are 20 years from now. You will be telling yourself, "Oh yeah, 20 years ago, I was young."
Well, thank you. Well, okay, sige. It's honestly a very long story, but I'll do my best to make it as concise as possible.
Right.
Everything started, I think, when I was a young child because my mom's mom was a speech professor. Yes. So,
Really?
so maraming hindi nakakaalam nito. As soon as I could start doing oral reading, my grandmother started training me to speak. And the way that looked was every morning, we would gather around the breakfast table. We would have breakfast together. And my grandmother would make me read more than a couple of times actually in a week, would make me lead the reading of our daily devotional. We would use the upper room. Ayan, I have a copy here with me.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I read also, even now, no, many years later since the time. And my grandmother, when I would read it, she would not allow me to progress to the next word until I would be able to pronounce and articulate each word correctly. She also trained me on how to do pauses, on how all the elements of speech.
How old were you then? Like 5?
Less, younger pa. Yeah.
Younger pa? So how did you feel? Di ba, young children, they don't want to be interrupted, like as they are reading the devotional. How did you feel then?
I felt very impatient. I just wanted to play,
I know.
like any young child, diba? I really just wanted to play, but my grandmother, because was very strict. So I had to sit, I had to be able to do everything perfectly before I could finish. Parang ganon. And back then, I found it so annoying. I really did. But, diba? Kasi ikaw ba naman bata ka? Gusto
Yeah, nga, exactly.
undergo such intensive training.
No, right.
Diba?
And this is happening before meals, so you just want to eat, right?
Just wanted to eat. I just wanted to play. I just wanted to get on with my day. But
she was very strict.
She was. She was quite disciplinarian. I had to do that. I had to do it when she wanted. Because, like, for example, on one day she would lead it. Another day it would be my mom. And then another day it would be me or my grandfather. So when it would be my turn, I would be like, oh my gosh, here we go again. Okay, so ayoko talaga. But what could I do? Diba? Strict ang lola. So I had to go through that. And back then, I didn't appreciate it at all. But looking back now, I know that people who, for example, athletes who really go into it professionally, they start very young, diba?
Yeah.
And looking back, I realized that essentially that became my craft or my sport from a very young age without realizing it yet. And fast forward, well, I when I got into high school eventually, I was asked to compete in mga public speaking competitions by the school. Well, in the school first, they would ask me to represent like my class, and then I would win, and I would progress to the next level, like inter-school eventually in a competitions. And also back then, I didn't appreciate it. I also didn't appreciate that the school was making me host events.
Really?
Kasi, yeah, kasi I was
Then, ayaw
introverted.
mo pa rin?
Ayoko. Yeah. So, ayun, yun yung kind of nakatulong din though. Again, I didn't appreciate it back then, but the training that I got from it, that eventually plus the inputs that I got from home, the influence from home, it led me to take on a degree in communication, well, organizational communication for university. And then, it was one thing that led to another. And then one day, when I was at my first job, I was sitting in a training session. And for some reason in my head, I was like, I can do this and I can do it better. And I thought that was so bold because I had no experience doing training. Although my mom was a trainer. So nandun yung exposure.
Oh, sure, yes. And the
Yes,
giftedness is really running deep in your genes pala. You know, your grandmother, a public speaker, a speech
yes,
teacher, your
yes,
mom, a trainer. So it's there.
trainer. Yes, it was there. Pero kasi back then, like, grabe naman may lakas ng loob
How
because
old
I
were you? You were early 20s if you just graduated and in your first job.
I was 22.
So
During
talagang grabe ang lakas ng loob, right?
super na parang I know I can do this and I know I can do it better. And 'di ba? Like in my head, na parang whoa, okay.
All right.
But that led to a series of choices as well, which led to where I am today. But don't get me wrong, it wasn't like a straight path. It wasn't a straight path at all. But it's just that the series of choices led to where I am at this moment in my life.
Okay, so there are many young people watching this, Doreen. Share with us your challenges. You know, from being an employee to where you are right now. You have your own consulting company. You are influencer of the year in LinkedIn, HR influencer of the year also. What were the challenges along the way? As you said, it was not a straight path. And you
No.
know, the young people of today, they tend to get discouraged, don't like discipline, so share with them your story so that they will be inspired.
Nako, ang story natin, ano siya, hindi talaga siya straight path at
Wala
all.
talaga straight path.
Wala. And there are times when your choices at the moment, they don't really make sense. But sabi nga nila, hindsight is 2020 vision or is 2020. And I think that's what happened with me. Like say, for example, after I had that thought bubble, I went into HR. And when I went to another company because in my current company there was no opportunity to go into training or do HR
What were
work.
you doing for that first company?
I was in brand management.
Branding, okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but you
Brand
felt that there was no way to, to express your giftedness in that, the public speaking thing, the HR.
I really wanted kasi to start going into training. There was no
Yung
opportunity in
training
the
eh.
company.
Oo, kasi
Yes.
nakita mo yung trainer nyo, no, in one of the
Yes.
events. All right.
Yes. And then like to me it was like kailangan talaga maka-transfer ako, and there was an opportunity with another company.
Okay.
I took it. It was although they were very upfront with me that they wouldn't allow me to do training yet. They needed somebody to do admin and recruitment. So
All
that
right.
I started with admin and recruitment. That's exactly what I did. But I had a goal to eventually go into training. So the goal was very clear. And it was also a leap of faith because I didn't even fully understand what the company did. But it turned out the company was a consulting firm.
You
Yes,
didn't know it then.
yeah. It was a consulting firm. It was it's one of the biggest and most recognized business consulting firms in the world. I was able to work with a lot of very talented, very intelligent individuals in that company. And it was also very challenging. So again, going back, I started my work in recruitment. I was doing end to end from sourcing to job offer.
All right.
Eventually, I transitioned into doing a little bit more training. The
Mhm.
admins transitioned to somebody else they hired for our team. And after 2 years, I left because something happened internally in the organization and they wanted me to go back into doing recruitment full time. And that's not what I wanted.
So, you think it helps that you knew what you wanted? Because
Yes.
some people, they don't know what they want. They just know what they don't want. But
Yes.
you knew exactly what you wanted.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, Rita, the time that I was working in recruitment and admin, I was also working really hard. I had a goal to eventually get into training. But some people
Yes.
kasi, hindi naman ito yung gusto ko eh. I'll just wait for what I want to come along.
Yes, they call it now like quietly quitting, just doing the bare minimum.
Exactly.
Right.
But that wasn't what I did at all. I was at times the first one to come in and the last one to leave. Sometimes I would do 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. shifts. Di
You work
naman,
hard. You
I
work
worked
hard.
really hard. Yeah. And I really learned what I could from the time that I was working in those responsibilities. And like I was really looking forward to being able to do training someday. Wala siya sa contract, pero I was thinking they gave me naman their word and I'm doing my best in my work.
Right,
So
right.
hopefully naman they give me the chance eventually, which
Okay.
they did. And when I started doing soft skills training, my boss was very supportive. I really appreciated the support that he gave me. There were instances when he even made me go outside of the company for training kasi
Mhm.
mga hindi available in the company that I needed to grow in my HR career.
Right.
And I really appreciated that. And, I did my best in those seminars outside. I would share with them what I learned. And then fast forward, there came a time something happened internally and I had to leave because I really knew that I wanted to focus on training. And the answer to me of the management at the time was they couldn't guarantee when or if I could go
Oh,
back because
oh.
they wanted talaga me to focus on recruitment. So I
So
said,
medyo naiinip ka na at that point?
no, I was doing training na kasi. And then something kasi happened in the company.
Oh, okay.
They changed the scope of my work.
All right.
Yeah, because of the need, the business need naman. But
All
the
right.
thing was, the business need and my own professional goals were no longer aligning the time.
Okay.
And I was like, if I really wanted to pursue what I wanted to, I needed to take a chance and
Oh.
do it.
And
So
what was the chance that you took?
I resigned. I left the
Mhm.
company and I took up a certification course in training outside the company. I paid for it myself. I also put up a side business. Bazaars were big back then. I participated in the bazaar, the bazaar business community,
Okay.
which was very different. I was selling clothes that I was getting from overseas,
All
ganon.
right.
Yeah, it was really different. But then that also led to me taking up a certificate course in fashion styling. So I was
Oh,
like,
so that is another gift that you have that I did not know of.
I hardly talk about it. I really do. Because I'm not naman in the fashion industry.
Not anymore. But during that
Not
time.
anymore. Yeah, at the time, I took up a certificate course in fashion styling kasi for me, I'm in the bazaar business. I'm selling clothes. I need to understand what it is that I'm talking about and how it can make sense for my customers. So ganun lang siguro talaga ako na I just like doing my very best in the different things that I'm doing. And an opportunity came actually, and 9 months later, I went back to my former employer. But
Mhm.
in a completely different role. I was offered the role to do IT training for the Asia Pacific region.
All right. IT training.
Yes, regional training. IT ang focus, and it was so difficult for me kasi I was building my bazaar business. I was like, but I want to do training, but I want to do
But
soft
not,
skills.
yeah,
Not
right. Because parang ngayon ko lang narinig yung IT from you. Do you actually
exactly.
know how it,
Exactly. I
parang,
told you, it's really roundabout. 'Di ba?
right,
Biglang IT training. Tapos I really thought about it. I prayed about it. Kasi for me, talagang what makes sense to me is, for me, I really want to follow the will that God has for my life. Quite honestly, that's one of the goals that I have talaga in my life. It's to pursue God's will. And it just so happened that he brought me in this craft, or this is what he gave me to be able to maybe fulfill whatever will he has for me. And
right.
sometimes it might not be so clear na ano ba yung will niya. Biglang binigyan ako ng IT training. Naku, pray ko talaga yun. Lord, dito ba
Nandun
talaga?
sana yung, nandun sana yung training but not the IT part.
Exactly. And I was really consulting with my mom because my mom is a really spiritual person. She's a very faithful person, and I just find so much comfort in her wisdom. And she told me, anak, baka dyan ka dinadala. So
Okay.
I accepted the job offer. I eventually closed down my bazaar business completely because I couldn't focus on two things. And I wanted to do my best talaga in whatever it was that I was doing. So eto ko, IT training. Take note pa, Rita, online. I had no experience doing online training.
Meron na bang, how long ago was that? Meron na bang online
Exactly.
training din?
This was in 2010.
So anong platform niya? Wala pang Zoom nun?
Tapang Zoom. It was WebEx. It was WebEx. I was doing
WebEx, yes.
Yes, through WebEx, customized for the company's needs. I was also doing it through phone na may support ng chat, like you could share your screen
All
for
right, all
one
right.
sessions. And I was doing video conference training at times, like through video conferencing. So back
Okay,
then, hirap, like the adjustment to that and
right,
all.
right.
And after a few years, I decided I was able pala to participate in parang a side project doing soft skills training na face to face. We were traveling around the Asia for that. So I was doing this on top of my IT training. Take note, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And grabe the grabe talaga the baptism by fire that I got in participating in that. It was very difficult, but I learned so much both in doing the training online and in doing the soft skills na talagang na-hone yung skills ko, how I facilitate groups, how I do coaching, dealing with people regardless of the rank from staff level to partner level. And back then talagang, oh my gosh, sobrang hirap. Ang hirap.
But did you feel happy then?
No, it was so
No.
hard.
Kasi yun ang naririnig ko sa mga young people, I'm not happy with my job.
Yeah, but yon, well, that's a great question. I can't say I was kasi ang hirap talaga. I
Ang
mean, I had
hirap.
friends, at work. I really enjoyed that. And I could see I was learning. I really appreciated that. But I can't say na I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 100% feeling happy and fulfilled. No, it's hard. It's a lot of hard work. There
Yeah.
was a time I almost put myself in the hospital because of how hard I was working.
Oh,
Truly, kasi
I can
fatigue, eh.
imagine online and then face to face. I mean, did you
Yes.
clone yourself or anything?
No, and I was traveling extensively. There was a time I went to India for work. It wasn't just me. There were three of us who were trainers. We were training a group in India. This was for soft skills, and these workshops are really intensive. And I had to take a plane. So the previous day I was at work pa, and then that day I took a plane to Singapore, Singapore to Delhi, car to the train station, then train, and then bus. Like,
Oh, wow.
malalayo.
Layo nun ah. Ang dami nun ah.
Oo. So talagang pagod. And then pagdating mo sa site, you had a couple of hours, meet kayo ng team, the following day workshop na kayo, and then
Trabaho
hold
na.
Oh,
Right.
tapos brief, we were working until mga 10 p.m. and then meet na naman kami ng mga 6 a.m. It was really intensive. You work really, really hard. But I did it kasi I could see I was learning. I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to appreciate the experience that I was getting kahit na mahirap, kahit na pagod ka. Pero ano parang iniisip ko, nandiyan yung opportunity. Hindi ko
Right.
naman take advantage na, alam mo yun, like opportunistic. Hindi. It's more like, nandiyan yung opportunity. I'm going to appreciate it for what it is. And after that, uh, I resigned after a couple of years because I decided to pursue my master's degree full time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was doing my master's, my former employer called me up. First month kong pagka-resign, nawagan ako ng Singapore office. Pwede daw ba ako mag-train for Jakarta? Ito na, sabi ko,
Oh,
ito na naman ako. Kaya ko ba to? Nag-aaral ako full-time.
nag-aaral ka. Okay, yeah.
And I was
Need
like,
to tell them.
nakakapagod. Paano to? Sabi ko, hindi ko yata kaya. Tinawagan ko, hindi ko yata kaya. Hindi, Doreen, kaya mo to. Ganun sila, yung Singapore office. Kaya mo to. We just need you for 2 days every few months in Jakarta. Kinumpute ko ilan yung allowable leaves ko for my,
For
for
school.
my course. Oo. Ano yung days na pwede ako mag-leave? Ano yung hindi pwede for my core subjects, my major. So,
Right.
kinausap ko si Singapore, we were able to work it out, and I was doing that on top of my master's naman for a couple of months. So talagang working really hard, but at the same time, appreciating the moment and what you're learning from it, not taking anything for granted. And after I did the stint working with the region as a consultant, I realized kaya pala that I can work while studying. So
Okay.
I took on consulting, but before I didn't just jump straight in. I strategized about it. What could make me successful as a consultant? Not just diving right in and bahala na si Batman. No, really being intentional about things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 2015. I was doing it part time then. And now that, well, ever since I wasn't pursuing my master's degree anymore, I decided to go full time into consulting. And that's where I am today. Again, it's a really roundabout story, but especially when the pandemic hit, I saw, oh my, oh, buti na lang. I was doing IT training before. Buti na lang marunong na ako how
Oo
to
nga.
things, even though it was IT and now I'm doing soft skills training, but the core skill is already there. So again, hindsight is 2020. It only makes sense once you're in the moment and you look back na, kaya pala.
Kaya
And now
pala.
it makes sense, yeah.
Wow. Wow. So many lessons that I am hearing from you. I hope our viewers are learning from you. When I read your Facebook posts, I would see like, stories that, you face challenges because of your age, just simply because you are very young to be a consultant. How did you handle, what is top of your mind right now na major challenges that really parang, ay, hindi pa yata, masyado pa yata akong bata.
Okay. I never really approached things na I'm too young. For me, it was always like, how can I make the most positive impact where I am right now? So that's always been my approach. But
Okay.
it's true that there have been instances, like say, for example, I became a consultant when I was 28,
All
which
right.
is really young to
Really
do.
young, yes.
Yeah, as a consultant, most people perceive that you do consulting after you retire, even.
When you have a load of experiences behind you to bring to the floor, right?
Yes,
At 28, what do you bring? That is how some people would think, right?
yes. And in fact, there was a time when I was already in my early 30s. I went into a meeting with an Indonesian company. The CEO was listening to me carefully, asked me one question after the meeting: are you even 30? And I was so surprised. And I said,
Right.
yes, I am. But it was at that moment that I realized that whatever I said, it didn't really get through to him because what mattered to him most was my age.
Sure.
Was,
Right.
di ba? That was
Parang
what,
yun lang yung major factor for him.
yeah. And I didn't get that job. Kumbaga, I didn't get that project. I think that's the best way of putting it, that project. But that's okay naman. I mean, with all of the challenges that I experienced when I was starting, Also, there were a lot of times when I was not earning anything in a month, especially when I was new in the industry.
Okay.
Find that, and again, in hindsight, I'm thankful that I didn't start off and na talagang fully successful in the consulting
Yes.
industry, because I find that there are so many insights. There's a different kind of character. There's so many things that you learn, and you develop in yourself if you don't immediately become successful at something, as
Right.
opposed
Right.
to you start and you're like a big deal, right? You're an
Yes.
influencer, you're so successful. I'm honestly thankful for those hard times. I think they kept me grounded. I think they helped me be able to talk about hardships that I've met people come to me and say, so kamusta, Doreen? Ako, I'm so thankful yung kinikita ko ngayon as a consultant. Bagong consultants. They say
Okay.
more than what they were earning now when they were employed. And for me, I wish you all the best. I do. I wish these people all the best. But at the same time, and I'm not saying that you should go through the hardships that I did, but I am thankful for the hardships that I went through, because I felt like it also developed a different kind of character in me, as a person that
Right. Right.
maybe more people can find more relatable as I facilitate workshops and learning experiences.
So let's talk about you being LinkedIn's number one most influential woman of 2022. So what happened there? Um, how did you even get there at that age? What did
Uh,
you feel after getting that award? You were, I think, number 14 in a previous year,
yeah, the first year I was 14.
and
Yes.
then suddenly, woo, jump to number one.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think it was maybe just being at the right place in the right at the right place in the right time or something. Perhaps it was maybe just when there was a call for nominations, and I do
Mhm.
post about it. I mean, I don't, I post na, guys, this is open. If you think that I deserve to be on it, I really appreciate the nomination. And I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that. But it just so happened that I guess people felt strongly enough to to
Vote
vote,
for you.
yeah, for me that year. I think it was also the year that I was doing a lot of volunteer work. So perhaps it was also that people were seeing the positive impact that my work outside of my actual work was
Right.
doing. And volunteer work is no easy feat. It's really challenging. It's really difficult. And I really appreciate everybody who became a part of the journey. In fact, when I run my workshops and these different recognitions get mentioned, I always say that everybody, like even my participants, they're part of my journey, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for them also. Talagang they're part of it because I learned from them. They contribute to my own professional journey as well.
Okay, so wow, thank you, Doreen. Final words for our viewers out there, especially the young people out there. They give up easily when they are faced with a major challenge. They hate discipline. They want to have their own time. They want to make an impact immediately. These are the things I hear from the young people. Your advice to them.
Thank you, Rita, for this opportunity once more. I think to everyone who's listening here, I understand that things can get tough. I mean, it's subjective, of course, as well. What might be tough for one person might not be so tough for another person. But at the same time, all of us, we all face tough, challenging times. And I think that for all of us, whether we are in these brilliant, wonderful moments in our lives when we feel like we're winning, or whether it's those times when we feel like we're not really winning, or we it's just not the best time. I just encourage you to really, I think one important thing is to really go back to your purpose. What do you think is the main purpose that you have for your life? I was fortunate enough to find mine, And my purpose in terms of why I work so hard, why I try to be as strategic as I can with my work, why I do what I do, it's also it's one thing, but the other purpose that I have is, as I mentioned earlier on, going back to God's will for my life and finding that my mission in this world, the way that I do my work, regardless of whether it's great times or not, it's part of what God has called me to do. So please don't give up. You will find that as there are difficult times, there are also such wonderful times where you will be celebrating and having fun. And those wonderful times will be even more meaningful after we go through some challenging times. And please do not hesitate to reach out if you need somebody to cheer you on. I'm sure Rita here or I would also be more than happy to cheer you on and encourage you along your journey.
Oh, so yes, Doreen, if they want to invite you to to train them, organizations might be watching this, where can they call you? How
Sure.
can they contact you?
They can reach out to me through my social media pages. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn. They are more than welcome to send me a note there. They can also send me an email actually to doreenhooper.ph@gmail.com. But there are just instances when sometimes an email gets flagged as spam, especially when it's the first time somebody is reaching out to you. So please feel free to reach out to me on social media, especially on LinkedIn, because I'm able to respond to LinkedIn messages quite quickly, I believe, naman, compared to, for example, my Facebook page, because I get these alerts more regularly. Thank you.
I want I want to ask this question. I hope you don't mind. When you have your own children, will you be as strict as your grandmother?
I don't think you can ever really tell until you're in that situation. But maybe not, maybe not. But
Maybe not.
we'll see. I will keep you guys posted.
All right. Thank you so much, Doreen. Super with Cooper talaga. And thank you, my dear viewers, for watching this. This is Rita Diary reminding you today, haba-habaan po ang pasensya sapagkat ang buhay parang life.